Let's see the man in action, the blue Terran. In the top right side, it's the Frenchman from Team Liquid. The man that carries the polar bear with him wherever he goes on the StarCraft ladders and tournaments. It is Clem.
And the bottom left, ladies and gentlemen, also from Team Liquid. He's your red Zerg. It's a laser.
Laser's got shoulders, man. Look at him. Right?
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
I also had the pleasure of being able to interview ELAZER for King of Battles 3 when he advanced out of group stages there, and I will say he is a great player to talk to. He's so knowledgeable about the game, and you can really tell when he plays how he thinks through things. And it's really great to to be able to listen to him and to ask him questions about it. So I'm excited to see him play here. Of course, I'm excited for this matchup. This is a TVZ that absolutely could be very similar in caliber to the staples, the Clem versus Raynor, the Clem versus Serral, because these players, they're so good.
Yeah, for sure. And ELAZER is always just kind of on that verge there, right? He's around. We know he's a competitor, but I mean, he's not quite the favorite in matchups like these. But we know it's dangerous territory regardless for Clem, because ELAZER, like you said, he packs a punch. He's got a mean stinger on that Zerg race of his, and well, he's not afraid to use it.
Yeah, absolutely not. And I'm very excited. I feel like this is just going to be a really awesome TVZ, and I really think it's going to be also interesting to see exactly the type of form that ELAZER and Clem are in come into this. Of course, they're teammates. They get to practice a lot against each other. What are they going to pull out? What kind of practice are we going to see exemplified in their gameplay? And who's going to advance? Maybe they both advance. This group is going to be very, very close. I think any of the players could have a chance of advancing, but these two have definitely felt very strong. Hero Marine, I mentioned as well, he went 7-0, in the group stages at Atlanta Regionals. This group is very stacked at the European powerhouses.
Yeah, for sure. Well, doesn't do too much there with the Reaper. Clem always a bit of a threat with whatever microball unit he has. Luckily for ELAZER, he doesn't have adepts, right? So, because somehow Clem just kills those with Reapers.
Yeah, very, very good on the micro side. Obviously, you expect those early exchanges, nothing much to happen. What I am interested in is seeing the build order here for Clem, because for the longest time, Clem has had this habit of when it's just a standard macro game, and he's not planning to do anything super crazy, he will do the exact same opening every time. This is a very fast third CC off of reactored Hellions into your standard 5 racks with 2 factory play, and pushing from there. Now, we do see a bit of a switch up, though, because that's actually a proxied starport, and it's not going to be for anything like a Hellion lift into the natural anything. No, it's actually going to be a proxy liberator.
Interesting. All right, know what I was anticipating here. Still could be quite a dangerous thing, of course. But yeah, Liberator, I guess. It's interesting that's in the bottom right side, right? Normally, any kind of proxy starport here, you would more so anticipate just barely above the main base, or northwards of the main base of ELAZER. But coming in here from the right side, a little bit of a longer travel distance. But he's going to be able to set up in between the natural and the third base. So quite a nice potential for ping-ponging back and forth between the two.
Yeah. So we're seeing these little trades come through. I mean, not much. Just the Hellions trying to poke down some of these queens. Trying to maybe find some nice morph there by ELAZER just to keep that alive. But we're just seeing Clem here trying to apply pressure, trying to... Ooh, Liberator goes down. That's a bit unfortunate there for Clem, especially since it didn't get a lot of value. And that's a big investment as Hellions trying to dive on into the natural. Things do shut it down, but you also get rid of all of the Zerglings there that ELAZER had, as Clem has gone up to a very, very high Hellion count this game. And usually that is just because you know, when you're going for that proxy starport, you need a bit more time to transition and fly it back and then get your stim pack up. So the more Hellions just allow for that time and that buffer.
Yeah. Third base, almost ready for Clem. He's not in a spot where he has to make something happen here with the Hellions, which is always nice. As long as he's efficient with them and he kind of keeps the creep spread to a minimum, you know, he's going to be doing alright. Laser, I mean, he's been... Yeah, his defense against these units has been quite nice, right? We have to say. His creep is getting to a pretty reasonable proportion right now. He's got his flanks covered. It's not a clear entryway that the Terran should use here to get themselves on top of a hatchery without going over that creep too much. So yeah, I think we might be in for a long game as things are kind of going at this pace. Oh,
yeah, absolutely. And this I think, is kind of what we expected. These players, they're not going to do anything super crazy. They're not going to really see them try and end these games early. Like, obviously in TVT, it's a bit different because in that, you can, with the cheese, it's a bit more actually reliant on your micro, you know? Whereas in these matchups, it can really depend on what your opponent's doing and how they respond to it. That depends on if it works. Because if you're going for something like a Hellbat timing attack, if your opponent is ready and has roaches and queens out, well, it's really hard to make it work. You kind of just put yourself behind. Now, this is a very interesting push out here from Clem. Is going to be morphing these Hellions into Hellbats and pushing with a bunch of Stim Marines, a few medevacs. It's a very, very strong attack right now. Stim is done 1-1. Not quite done just yet, though. Clem does need to wait for that upgrade. Clearing up the creep now. Has about 9 seconds until the upgrade's done, so he doesn't want to take the fight before then. Ooh. And now, with the upgrade coming through, this is suddenly a very, very strong Terran army that's going to be pushing down a laser with the Hellbats to buffer against the Banelings. Oh, can ELAZER hold on? Speed finishes up just in time, and there's no chance to split as ELAZER just crushes through it.
Very nice. Loses like one queen, a couple of zerglings here or there, but keeps everything else alive. He's going to be able to send those queens out that still remain as well to reinvigorate the creep here. Looks like even a couple of creep tumors managed to survive the approaching Terran army. So yeah, ELAZER just withstanding that like an absolute champ here, and
yeah,
it's looking all right for him so far. Now, with the Widowmines in the mix and Banelings and Zerglings, however, of course, that is all up to just a short moments where those things could change. But you know, it's a solid start for ELAZER. He's just got to mind not stepping on Widowmines that he really should not, and should be able to get himself in a late game quite comfortably here, if that's where he wants to go. Alright, moving in again here. The push of Clem starting to encroach upon the creep, but
added on in
there.
Yeah, and I mean, I think ELAZER did a great job with timing out, especially that cleanup. He knew exactly when his centrifugal hooks was done, then uses that, gets the Lings to surround the Marines so they can't actually split. And from there, it's just an easy cleanup. And now, you know, even with the Banelings being, or even with the Widowmines being added on in, you just can't really engage unless you get, you know, a super good connection with your Widowmines, as Clem has to micro this back. Does manage to save all of his SCVs, which is, of course, ideal in this case. As nice choke point here by Clem. Gonna try and take this fight. Does a good job of it. Scans the burrowed Baneling. Managed to spot that in the middle of that horde of Banelings. And that's something that I love about ELAZER. He is just so creative with how he uses his units. Okay. And he's really been... Yeah.
This is okay.
But ELAZER has been one of the players who's really been starting to mix in burrowed Banelings consistently into his TVZ.
Yeah, and it's such a useful tool, right? But Clem really on the case. Look at the amount of scans that are dropping down pretty much 24/7. He's got a blue radar symbol above his entire army. He's not letting it up to chance here. The run by finds themselves a couple of SCVs right on top of some of those Marines as well. Burrowed Zerglings, a little bit less lethal than Burrowed Banelings, but can still pack a punch if those Marines ever leave the place.
Yeah, no, Clem's doing a great job of handling these counterattacks, but this surround just forces him to pick on up.
That was a big Widow Mine onto those banelings. Did you see that?
Yeah.
My goodness.
Managed to get a big connection. And Clem going to be happy to retreat off the back of that, as now, here we go, ELAZER trying to push on in, but it's just Lings and Banes. And this time, Clem does have time to split, pulling back the units on the right side. Left side is still fighting strong, as ELAZER's supply just plummets. And Clem takes over that fight. He's on 4 bases now. He's got the 2-2 done. And the Widow Mines, they just find so much value.
Yeah. ELAZER's still about 1k in the bank here, 1.5k. I would like to see the larvae. How many does he have available? Because he did start a lot of circlings. His production kind of halted here. He does definitely need more units right now.
Yep. Unburrowing the lanes there that were in the 3rd base. Now going to start to find a few. Ooh, nice split there on the Banelings. Another hit, though, is going to be able to find a lot of value.
It's going to be so
good
careful.
drag.
Oh, man. ELAZER.
Oh, my God.
He's 30 plus army supply behind right now. There's a nice little Baneling burrow right there as well on the bridge. If he ever forces Clem to move back all the way.
Oh.
Right, Baneling detonations there as well. Okay, that might stabilize him a little bit.
And the run by is now starting to find some success since Clem is being more aggressive. Very, very nice move by Mika, and Clem slips a few units on the left side of the map. Is just going to be trying to find a little bit. Look how many Widow Mines there are.
Yeah.
There's so many, Clem. I mean, of course, it's very, very nice for dealing with this Sling Bane. The one worry is with so many Widow Mines at home, like as this game goes on, there have been cases where Clem actually falls into the trap of building too many Widow Mines and Medivacs, and when his ground army is cleaned up, he just has a lot of supply tied up in those units that aren't really going to be able to find use. I don't know if that's going to be the case this game. It's happened before, but right now, it is a manageable amount for Clem. As, these Widow Mine hits are just absolutely insane.
Yeah, they're striking true gold at the moment. ELAZER, I would love to see him try and make a move here for the Hive or something else that, you know, allows him to have units to withstand these Widow Mines. But it does seem to be still quite a ways off for Ultralisk. He is getting the +3/+3. He's just kind of sticking on that. He does have already the Hive tech, of course.
Oh, nice Baneling connection. Queen's taking a few Widow Mine hits. Banelings, right into the Widow Mines, and now you're just fighting with Queens against Marines. Zergling's trying to stream on in, but the Zerg supply is so low now. And Clem has just been draining the bank of ELAZER, making it so hard for him to constantly rebuild units, and behind this, Clem is on 4 bases. Clem is constantly maxed, and now just the sheer amount of Widow Mines is so annoying to deal with for ELAZER, as he just doesn't have any detection. Widow Mine shots go off. Liberators are now here to help. I think that's just going to be about GG. There's also Marines in the main that are just clearing things out. And man, Clem, a dominating game 1.
It really is something. He's dealing damage in the main base. He's trading efficiently against the main army for ELAZER here. And, well, he's ahead on those upgrades too. It's helping him out quite a bit. His base count is wonderful. Yeah, it's... Like you said, the amount of Widow Mines there are, it almost feels like ELAZER has to spread out his entire army in order to not just die to Widow Mines.
I mean, it's crazy that ELAZER is still like fighting in this game, considering how bad some of these trades have been, but he's been splitting his lanes extremely well most of the time. By this point, it's just so hard to continue to do it. Still trying to find damage on these counterattacks, but he's down to 130 supply. His 6th base is going to go down. And when you're even on workers with the Terran, never a good sign for the Zerg. These are units that are just not as efficient in the supply-to-supply cost. As this Baneling burrows again. Finds the connection still, though. Baneling's trying their darndest to roll in here and find some damage, but it's just not going to work out. GG! Clem picks up game 1.
On the bottom left side, his opponent, a strong, handsome young man in the blue from Team Liquid. It is Clem.
And to the top right, ladies and gentlemen, from Team Liquid, it's your Polish Zerg wearing the red trunks, ELAZER.
teammates overall, but well, ELAZER does seem a little bit like he's in destroy mode, right? A little bit like his focus overall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, this
I mean,
feels like
he
an
has to
ELAZER
be.
who, yeah. I mean, I think he knows how good Clem is right now. He's his teammate. He knows that this young Frenchman is really playing well, and so he's focused. And I mean, even though he lost that last game, just seeing how well he's able to split the Zerglings most of the time, this fact that he was still trying to find broad baneling plays, you know, you can just see how good ELAZER is. It's just that, man, Clem, it's just, he just, throughout the course of that game, you didn't really notice it, but he just won everything. Every engagement, it felt like he won after that initial Hellbat attack.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, did he lose that Liberator even with the harassment? Or was it just pushed away?
Yeah, he lost the Liberator
Lost
too.
the Liberator. Like, that is probably the one thing, right, where it was like, well, he didn't trade efficiently with the Liberator there. And probably some Marines here or there, but the other Marines made up for that well and proper, so. But that was it. That was it. It's the one thing we could really point to there for Clem, and it was like, oh, that didn't go his way. And the rest he forced to go his way, so.
Yeah. We're on the Data C now, and this is a map that I definitely think there's a lot more opportunities for the Zerg. I think the last map was also still good for Zerg in general. That, you know, there's a lot of open space there to try and take engagements. Of course, the choke points are a bit annoying, but still, it's a decent map. Data C, though, it is a lot bigger. There's a lot more attack angles, especially. Almost every base has 2 pathways that you can attack from to try and find surrounds, as Clem tried to find a second Zergling there, but wasn't quite able to get it.
Well, the idea was there, and it keeps the Reaper up as well. Thought for a moment that was going to go down, but no. Quick reaction against those Zerglings. Pulls it back. Third base very early on here for Clem. In fact, that's just almost quicker than the Zerg third base.
I mean, yeah, this is the kind of opening that Clem, I think, is the most comfortable with. It's the one that I see him go for the most. It's that really fast third CC off the back of this Hellion opening, with the starport following it up very shortly. And obviously the transition is going to be into bio. It's nothing too crazy. I think this is just Clem saying, listen, I know that this map is really hard to end early on because of the size. And so I just want to get into as good of an economic position as possible, as early as possible, so that I have a better fighting chance when it gets to that mid to late game.
Yeah. Yeah, and he just has to get himself there, really. I guess that is the benefit of being as good as someone like Clem. Just like, well, as long as the game just keeps going, it should be okay.
Certainly finds its way in. Just a quick little scout of what the units are. Is going to be able to see the cloak there on the Banshee. I don't think Clem is going to cancel it. This is just a usual opening for Clem. With the Hellions and the Banshees, it gives you a few harassment options. Gives you the chance to pull the Queens away so that your Hellions can try and dive into a mineral line somewhere. And also a lot of ability to clean up creep with the combination of these 2 sets of units. And so...
Cloak. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To go hand in hand.
Exactly, yeah. With the Hellions there in particular. Another fairly reasonably quick baneling nest here with the lair as well. I'm imagining we're going to see ELAZER just kind of go for the same place as we saw the previous game. I do want to kind of mention that ELAZER, I mean, he was known before he started doing as much macro as he is now. He was known as more of a mid-game player, right? Someone that loves to do those timing attacks, and I'm not exactly certain what changed his mindset overall. Maybe the bullying from you know, from his coach or something like that.
Oh, here we go. Zergling's trying to get the surround, but the micro is good. Hellion's pulling back. Able to find some really decent trades here onto these Zerglings, but feels like a few of them are going to be able to get on out. As now Banshee's cloak on up, going to try and knock down these Queens immediate. More for the Overseer. It's not going to be enough to try and save that one Queen that is, oh my god, ELAZER Just barely has enough energy for the transfusions. Keeps all of his queens alive. Very, very lucky they just had enough energy for that.
Right. He's staying clear of faltering in the early game once again here. Hopefully that is gonna secure him a bit more guarantee here. Bailing speed coming up as well. I guess the bailing speed timing really didn't hurt him that much the previous game. Right? Again, he was on cue. Doing a good job here with his queens, zoning out the Hellions, getting his creep out. He's got a good work account. Like, things are looking okay again for him.
Yep. Solid so far. And I like this from ELAZER. I mean, adding on 2 additional hatcheries. One is a macro, one is his 5th base. I mean, it's just recognized really well that Clem has gone for this really macro-focused opening. And is taking full advantage of it with this early 5th hatchery. Is already at 76 workers. Is just recognizing the fact that this game is going to be catapulted into the mid to late game. There's not really going to be a chance for early skirmishes, and so yeah, I like this position for ELAZER. It's going to be, I think it's going to make him a lot more comfortable in taking these constant trades that will come as this gets to the mid game, because that's what we saw Clem break him down with, just the constant trading, constant fighting, and just finding the better value.
Going after those Marines right there. Circling counter-attack also coming in. Finds a bit of aggression right there. I like it, but doesn't quite get the numbers of SCVs he perhaps would have liked to. He gets 2. But again, prevents damage at his own base. He will be... I think he'll be ready for this attack as well. The one afterwards is the one that could potentially be scary if these Wither Mines manage to get good connections again. Alright, avoiding that in... Oh, never mind. I thought he avoided it, but the final Wither Mine, of course. Bam! There it is. Strikes gold.
Yep. And now that supply is starting to balloon for Clem as he's just pushing off 3 bases. I mean, he's going up to 8 racks, only has 5 at the moment, but he's trading against the Banelings. No buffer for them. They're going to be able to find 1 connection, but it's not on a lot of Marines. And now Clem is just going to swing this into the main. And it just feels like a repeat of game 1. Clem just so efficient with these Marines and finding constant good trades and now trying to focus down the spawning pool. The Marines are low. The DPS of the Lings not enough. The pickup comes through. ELAZER starting to finally stabilize his supply, but you have another group of units already pushing another location.
Yeah, I don't think the Circlings or Banelings here ready to defend. Most of them busy, preoccupied with this situation right here. Doesn't have any queens there, shooting them out of either. Talking about queens, one just went down at this base. Circling's desperate to try and get a wraparound, but look at the amount of Circlings that just get shot down.
Yeah, it's brutal. I mean, does manage to finally clean up everything. And for ELAZER, that will give him a little bit of breathing room here to stabilize. And while that's going on, I think we really need to start to see him prepare for a transition, because Vikings already on the way. Clem is really just getting ready for the next stages of this game with his 4th base coming down. Additional upgrades as well. ELAZER will need to prepare some tech for his own. 6 spine crawlers going down at that 5th base.
I'm
really
like the
interested to see
style, but yeah, I feel like you just really need Ultralisk or something when there's so many Widow Mines on the field. Right?
Yeah.
Am I wrong on this? Am I crazy?
No, I do like this. Infestation Pit coming down. Obviously, Infestor is a great option. I think even on this map, Lurkers are good on Data C. I think is one of the maps where Lurkers can be very, very good. But look at Clem. He's still just pushing. He's up 17 supply or so, and it's a very dangerous looking army.
Okay, well, good spread. Didn't really get the Widow Mines detonating what I would have liked to. Again, nice spreading with those Circlings. As ELAZER actually takes a fight that goes fairly well into his favor. The other side, Spine Crawlers ready to defend the drones, at least from one angle. The other angle, unfortunately, the one that Clem chooses to go from then.
Yep. Gonna knock down a bit of that drone line, and right now, ELAZER finishing up the 2-2 is gonna be very important for him to start to find some better trades. I think the good news here for ELAZER, like one of the points that he does have a slight advantage is the fact that he has this creep spread up towards his 5th base. He needs to start to spread that a little bit more, as Clem is just trying to hit 2 locations at once.
He's just letting those Marauders get hit by the Banelings. He's like, alright.
Yeah.
It shows that he feels like he's at a tipping point. 2 Burrowed Banelings. They'll manage to get some work done, but not much. No Widowmines here. Okay, so another base is secured again. Still at 80 workers, which is formidable. But the creep spread looking a little bit lackluster. And the supply kind of starting to tip into Clem's favor further and further.
Yeah. I mean, it's better than last game. It's not as one-sided. Now with the 2-2, this army does fight a little bit better. The Zerglings do find a bit more damage. It's just still, ELAZER really does need something additional here. He needs something else, whether that's Infestors, whether it's going into, I mean, Hydras or Ultralisks. Starting up Adrenal Glands, it feels like he's just right now just focusing on the Ling Bane, but you just can't stay on Ling Bane forever. Sure, it's good, but it's not going to be that good as these Banelings, ooh, able to crush on through. The Widowmine connections are not that good, but do you even need them to be that good when you just have this much bio?
Oh, okay, well, it's still a reasonable connection. Still getting a couple of those Marines down into the ground. The Widowmine's still there to secure it, though. Man. Yeah, I mean, if you do go for the Zergling Baning strat, right, it needs to have this dipping point, right? You just become too rich. With the macro for a Clem, it's just there. It's ready to meet ELAZER, and well, it just has a good unit composition for what ELAZER is fighting with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just this bio is so strong. It's even on upgrades, and I mean, the Lings just, they take so long to chew through them, especially with the medevac healing. And until that Adrenal Glands upgrade is done, you're not really going to see that change anytime soon. And that means that Clem can keep pushing. The Spine Crawlers are trying their best, but they just don't chunk away nearly fast enough. The Baneling connections were all right, as this run-by might be able to start to find some success in getting some damage across the map. The Marauders just stand strong, though. Get so many of the Banelings.
Yeah, I guess that's another point here. We haven't really been seeing all too many run-bys, right? And that usually is a big deal with this type of playstyle. You need to be able to get those run-bys going, keep the Terran off your back and away from you. Oh, it just doesn't feel like Clem is giving ELAZER any of those options.
Yeah. As well, Medevac's into the main. Clem just being absolutely everywhere. He's hitting the 5th, he's hitting the main. I mean, ELAZER, he's still sitting at a high worker count, but it's not high enough. It's actually behind the worker count of Clem, who's sitting at 83 SCVs. Adrenal Glands has finished, so these Zerglings are going to start to shred a lot faster. You see already taking a much better trade here at the bio. Clem just has to pick on up. But it's just so hard for ELAZER in this game with no additional tech, with no additional really anything to work with.
Barely finding those Baneling landmines there with the edge of the scan. ELAZER trying to still make something work, but nice positioning there from the Frenchman. Will be able to set himself up quite nicely. ELAZER trying to lure this bio the wrong way.
Yeah, I love that. Just a little bit of a bait, trying to see if Clem will bite. And I gotta say, I mean, the counterattacks are really what ELAZER needs. You just saw how much damage the first one got, getting so many workers, forcing the lift up on the base. It was just done so well, and especially if you're not committing that many Zerglings, it can be really, really worthwhile, as ELAZER right now has a lot of money in the bank, needs to try and get back up to a decent supply. I mean, he's at 150. I really do feel like Infestors at this point in the game would be so, so useful. But just, ELAZER hasn't added on anything. It's just been Ling Bane. He's been tunnel visioned on this composition and hasn't really been given the time to think about what else he needs to help deal with the bios. Banelings are finally going to clean up all these drops. That means that ELAZER can bring everything over to try and help deal with this push. And he needs to clean it up. He needs to do well. The Widowmine hits so far have not been the best, and now the Banelings are starting to roll on through. As ELAZER trying to find the fight, the bio is kiting back though, and he just can't quite get on top of it, but he's starting to even out the supplies a little bit.
A little bit, yeah, but there's another push ready for Clem, and look at these bases that Clem is taking as well. It's getting closer and closer to the Zerg's front door, and there's not a lot of creep in between. Alright, Clem sets up shop on this planetary fortress, takes another, well, okay trade here, I guess.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good here for ELAZER, cleaning up a lot of that army, cleaning up the planetary. Needs to be careful not to lose too much and just back up and make sure he's defending his bases. But I mean, ELAZER actually starting to win trades here. This base, though, going down would be big. That 5th base is so important for ELAZER, but the bio just gets on top of it. Finds a good choke point as well. He's going to be able to trade very, very well against these Lings and Banes. As Baneling's rolling on through, trying to connect against the bio. Do manage to do well, actually. And the supplies are finally starting to even out here. ELAZER losing a few Banelings extra, though. And Clem trying to push this down. It's just been constant fighting, constant aggression. As the Baneling, oh, the Widowmines don't get good connections.
Yeah, nice pull with those overseers, trying to set off the Widowmines friendly fire. Little moments there, and here in between going in ELAZER's favor. And I like the fact that he's finding a run around as well here, but he might be met with Clem's army on his way back home.
Yeah, there's just so much
now, though. That is pretty good.
Forces a lift off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, where is the additional tech? Where is... Yeah, I mean, an investor here, you can fungal medevacs, you can fungal the Marines, they can't be picked up. The Banelings will have an easier time getting connections. Sure, Clem has a Ghost Academy, but I think that was a risk you'd have to run, is him adding on Ghosts. If you're just still running with Ling Bane, it's very hard to justify adding on Ghosts.
Yeah. Like, the way I see it, right, as well, is that perhaps the strength of the Ultralisk and the high attack isn't really the fact that you're getting a lot of those units. It's just the fact that you're forcing Clem to change up his unit composition. He's going to have to make more Marauders, he's going to have to make Ghosts, he's going to have to make Liberators. Now, he's doing that regardless right now because he knows he's in a comfortable spot. He has more than enough money to make all these investments for the future, right? And he's just shutting off a potential way for ELAZER to still start taking efficient trades. But if you force that kind of transition of tech here out of the Terran a little bit sooner, you might be able to find yourself a quicker opportunity there as well because of it. Yeah. If you then go back into a lot of Zerglings again, right? Because the Terran's army is just not going to be as good as it was had it been purely focused on the fighting the Ling Baning there, which it was for the longest time, right? Not a lot of Marauders, a lot of Widowmine, a lot of Marine, and Medevacs.